Hello and welcome back to the 2024 World Championship of Netrunner here in San Francisco. I am back, Orbital Tangent, aka Josh, he, him, joined by
Junipertheory, she, her.
And it looks like we're going to go over the standings from last
Just
round.
going to talk about them real quick. So obviously we saw Tunode beat Jai, as we discovered. We've also seen Tak beat Seb K, so Tak is in the winner's bracket. Zinchling beat Passive Molt. D beating the King. CTZ lost to Aruzan. Night Ride beat Timmy Wong. Santa beat Sokka, and rubenpieters beat Rotom. So our next game is going to be It's going to be Santa versus rubenpieters, who are both in winners.
Yes.
So we can go right into that.
All right, excellent.
Yeah. Let's go ahead.
We'll get there momentarily. All right, and it looks like we're at the tables. We got rubenpieters there on the left, and we've got Santa there on the right. We are looking at an Asa versus a...
Nope, we are looking at a Freedom versus a Aginfusion.
I'm incorrect. Freedom versus Aginfusion.
Yep. That was the previous round's deck list. Yes, so we'll get the new deck list in just a second and be able to tell you what's in these. I'm excited to see an Aginfusion. Have we seen an Aginfusion today?
I don't think we've seen an Aginfusion today, no. So it looks like we've seen kind of the standard. We've seen the HB kind of doing its thing as it's done this world.
And we've seen a couple of PEs yesterday. We've seen some of that, but I don't know if we've seen an Aginfusion.
We have seen an Aginfusion on stream across the weekend. So we have seen what these decks do.
Doing?
These decks are, in a lot of cases, they're using the Aginfusion for protection to avoid things like a deep dive, or they're avoiding things like a trick shot, a very popular card.
Starting off with a Spin Doctor, so immediately trying to draw up. Interesting to see. Putting down one piece of ice, we're going to see a second piece of ice, and a hedge fund. All right, leaving R&D open. Dangerous against Freedom, especially, because you can trash whatever's on top. Let's see, all right, we have a deck list now. Aginfusion running Brawn, MIC, Treeline, one Hollow Man, probably for some sort of just getting stuff out there.
So Hollow Man is going to combo with your Lacosta and your Niseis. You're going to be able to get a lot of Niseis off unadvanced, so you're going to be able to play that never advanced game where the runner's not going to be sure if you have an advanced card or advanceable card in the remote. And there's a lot of things that you can shove in the remote. This is coming back to me from across the weekend here.
Using Spin Doctor to shuffle back in the hedge fund and just that. That's a dangerous thing, especially against Freedom, because you're going to get so many cards trashed over the course of the game.
Absolutely.
You really want to be able to shuffle some of the back in with Spin Doctor. Losing a Spin Doctor so early has to feel bad. Right?
Yeah, it does, but the thing is, if you let Freedom trash it, it's not going to really cost them that much, and you're using up a Spin Doctor shuffle back on another Spin Doctor in the future. So if you can get one card at least, maybe it's worth it.
Right, let's see. So we've got a Mystic, we've got a Paladin Poemu and a Nuka down on the ground. That's some income, there's some drip income and some card draw. Santa's in a pretty okay spot here, especially with still no ice on top of R&D. Wonder if we're going to see one right here. This does seem like a Glacier list, at least to a fair extent. Only running one Anansi. Interesting.
Yeah, Anansi is very, very expensive to res, but you generally do see at least more than one on these lists. Because of the Tattoo Bola econ, you can generally burst up a little bit more readily to res it. However, Vampira Nasa has been taking some of those Anansi slots. The extra subroutines, I think, are just very valuable.
Let's see, we got an upgrade in HQ, and then anything else? Upgrade in HQ. Looks like we're considering what to do for click 2 or click 3. Looking at the deck lists, so what does the Freedom have that can break ice? Since this is such an ice-heavy deck, what can the Freedom deck do to break ice? You've got 2 Double Charms and 3 Crews. You're going to be trashing a lot of ice, which is dangerous. All right, so yeah, still no. Looks like it is Santa's turn now. Still no ice on R&D. It's rough to see, but looking at this,
so
what else
have
do you have?
Boomerangs, you have Audrey, you have Botulus, and then you have the classic Banhar. You're not technically breaking the ice there, but if it doesn't stop you, might as well be, right?
You've got a lot of tools, and it's difficult to deal with some of those things as Aginfusion, it feels, because you have to constantly be, if you're trashing the ice, to send them to a different server. You then, if the deck is already trashing ice, you're going to lose so much ice.
Yeah, we have seen a matchup similar to this across the weekend as well. It can also be devastating if you res something like an Anansi, or you res something like a Vampire Nasa, to have the crew come down and trash that. It can ruin your whole tempo.
And this deck also running multiple 3 bronze. Any of those getting trashed by a Devil Charm with a crew, that's 6 credits lost.
Yeah, anything that's above that 5 credit mark is really something that you don't want to see trashed. And this Freedom list can really do it. It can bring those crews down. It can recur those crews.
Seeing a daily cast and a Devil Charm. So that Devil Charm is now out there, which indicates to me that that is signaling I can get through anything now. You have one piece of ice, that's the going through it. Something I think about a lot with Netrunner, especially when you're playing things like what we saw with the previous with Tuno playing, when the Bankar comes down, that says I can get into any server with 1 ice. When the Begemot comes down with the Palangi, that's saying I can get into any server with 2 ice now. You keep going through things like that. You have to consider how much ice do you need on any given server to keep the runner out.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That
making a new server, protecting it, and taking a credit. There's still no ice on R&D. It's worrying to see to me. Maybe he knows something I don't.
Well, one of the things is it's running 3 bacterial programming. So if that is hit, and that's the one that hurts the most, you can control the flow of the game for the next several turns. So leaving that open might be just a calculated risk. I don't have enough ice yet. If you hit a bacterial, I'm going to at least kind of get to control the game for a little while.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, running R&D, seeing what's on the top. Will it be a random agenda? Nope. Just, I believe that was a hedge fund, which obviously is not the sort of thing you want to see as Freedom. If you're playing Freedom, you want to be able to hit R&D because you can look, you can go, you can see, if you see like a Spin Doctor, you can just instantly trash it for free and then see it again. Same with Rashida. Anything that costs 0 is a free trash for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Or you'd at least hope to have something that was ticking out virus counters online. If you had 2 leeches, maybe you're okay to see a hedge fund if you could trash it. It's a lot of virus counters.
Ooh, installing a twinning already. That's good. That you really need to put down something on R&D now.
I would agree with you. Yeah. You're with that twinning down, now that risk is a lot more risky.
But getting 4 cards, so presumably there's an ice in those 4 cards. And a lot of credits now at almost 20 credits, I believe 19. You can definitely stop anything that you can put down some stuff and you can definitely res it. It's still worrying though, because if you say, let's say you put an ice down on R&D and then next turn click 1 crew using the Paladin Poemu, click 2 make a run, you could just Devil Charm crew to kill that and then just keep hitting R&D and getting twinning counters.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that is something that rubenpieters probably has on his mind, probably looking for additional ice, trying to secure the servers a little deeper. We're seeing it on HQ, but not R&D. And we're seeing it on the remote, but not R&D.
Could he just be super flooded?
Either super flooded or just not respecting the twinning at this point.
He could just be saying, I'm so flooded that you're not going to see any agendas in my deck because they're all in my hands.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it might be the ones you don't want the runner to see are in the hand, and then what's in the deck is the bacterials.
See, this does mean that Santa does get a chance. Santa can see 2 cards off of R&D right now just by playing literally any card that uses the Paladin counter.
So we see Santa taking a little bit of a think here. We'll see what happens. I don't believe Santa's even taken the daily cast credits yet.
No, he's at 3 credits. I believe he took them.
Okay.
Let's see.
I did miss that.
Looking at what he can do, we're going to see obviously, he'd love to see anything that lets him start getting even more value off of that open R&D. Like a leech counter would be great. Getting a something to break. The main thing I would consider is right now, I don't think you're getting in either of those other servers.
Absolutely
unless you can put down, if you can put down like an Audrey right now, but even then on 3 credits, you probably aren't getting in. But you can start taking advantage of that open R&D immediately if you can put down something that can trigger twinning. And any card being installed that you can use Paladin for gets you in twinning.
We're seeing a pinhole threading.
Pinhole threading running on archives. Now,
Could look
What
at
is he going to go
HQ.
Oh, a Hollow Man. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
hiding
so
on that
worrying.
HQ
Yep.
is a great move because you can just move it over and then score what you need to score.
It is a safe place. It means you can just protect HQ. You don't have to protect some other server, and protecting HQ means you have that safe. That might be part of why he was protecting HQ so much, because he didn't want to lose that Hollow Man. Seeing the pinhole threading there is so rough.
Yep.
It's also just a smart play to be keeping your opponent off that, although obviously now you really don't want to see it. Like, still, you don't want to see that ice on R&D. Although right now, honestly, any piece of ice on R&D could potentially just be, you have to put 2 ice. So Santa might just not be worried about the ice on R&D, saying, if you put something down there, I'll just get rid of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're seeing both players take a couple of risks here. I didn't see the rest of Santa's turn. It was the pinhole and then some crediting. Was that it?
No, I believe the pinhole was the last action. Let's see. Okay, second card in that server, and taking a credit.
Yeah, leaving R&D open still.
Dangerous play. All right. Oh, yeah. Okay, so if he has 4 credits, then he probably took 2 credits. Let's see. All right, 2 credits on Paladin, 4 credits in the bank. This is actually a pretty good place to be. You can install a lot of cards and still have money. This is somewhere where you're threatening to actually be able to get into one of the big servers.
So now we're
there's
seeing
an
the
Audrey. No, Audrey is a good breaker here because it can technically break everything, but you have to trash something first in order to break stuff. However, if you can get into R&D and you see anything that you can trash, you can immediately start triggering that. The big issue is that Freedom wants those virus counters to then be able to trash things, and there's no viruses except for Audrey on Santa's side of the board.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you see high value cards in R&D,
taking it back. Hold on. We're drawing instead. Okay. So draw and then play. Audrey. I wonder if there was something that he was thinking, if I draw this from my deck, I'd much rather have that than Audrey. All right. Third click, making the run on R&D. Obviously, hoping to see something that he can trash.
Yep, and he does.
There it is. Paying 0 to trash that. That's so good to see that Spin Doctor because you don't even have to spend the money.
Absolutely.
Freedom says you can take virus counters off a card to trash something, but that means if you encounter something that is 0 cost, you can trash it for free. Oh, and the Rashida, that's another counter on Audrey. Oh, this is such a threat now because now you can keep getting into servers with the Audrey all. Seeing the Lacosta.
Yep.
Now the Lacosta does mean you could potentially score out an off-world, score out
or a Nisei Mark II, yeah.
Score out a Nisei Mark II.
So we have rubenpieters taking a think here as well.
It could also just be a Charlotte Cacador. But
Could be.
with all of the clicking for credits and all of the barely drawing you've seen here, it does feel a bit like you want to score. If he's flooded, which is my feeling that he might be flooded, that's my prediction. Although obviously these are top level players, and I'm someone who is not. If he's flooded, then you really want to score something out just to get it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it can be
Here we go.
Nisei.
That's 3 advance. Yep, there's the Nisei Mark II.
Yeah, that counter is huge. Because you can wait for them to break all of that ice with the counters on the Audrey, and then you can crack that Nisei to end the run, and now they don't have any more counters left to get in where they need to go.
The one thing is this doesn't protect your R&D, though. It's still completely open. Santa could just win off of checking R&D if that doesn't get covered up soon.
Yeah, it is a huge liability long term. So the one saving grace for Ruben here is that Santa is on 0 points. So again, if a bacterial does get hit, that flow of the game could be the protection that Ruben needs to stabilize.
It should also be noted there's no traps in the Aginfusion deck.
Yep.
Not that it usually does, but you don't have to be worried about snare. You don't have to be running and thinking, am I going to hit something that's going to hurt me?
Yeah, the closest thing you could call a trap are the agendas, and that's the bacterial programming and the single copy of send a message.
Yep. We'll see. Really curious to see what Santa does here, because he's done such a great job of just gaining such a fast start. He has so many cards down right now that help him. Okay, good. Trashing, yeah, trashing the daily casts. I just noticed that. I saw the daily cast.
Yep.
Oh, he needs to trash that, and then he immediately did it.
Two, I'll run
All right, let's see. So starting with a run on R&D, are we gonna see the counter? Oh, that's a subliminal. That's another counter. This is exactly
Wow.
what you want to see as freedom. Just keep seeing zero cost
Yeah,
cards.
yep, 0 cost cards, 1 cost cards, because even if it's a 1 cost card and you spend it off of Audrey, it's neutral and you maybe get something out of there.
The subliminal is rough here too because subliminal triggers when you make a run. Now now he gets to run again. Gets to see a card. So that finally something he can't just trash.
Yeah.
Finally he stopped.
So that's a Vampira Nasa. We might actually
Putting down a
finally
crew.
see R&D.
There's the crew. So now we're finally, even with that Vampira Nasa down,
Yeah.
you have to see it and immediately go, well, if I play that, that's just immediately going to get crewed to death.
Yeah. Yeah, any ice in Ruben Peters' list can now be trashed. Nothing is high strength enough to survive both the crew and the Devil Charm.
Yep. It does cost 2 credits, and I believe Santa has only 2 credits right now. So it does mean, yeah, he's playing very close to the ground right now. Right, starting with a hedge fund, even more money. And then are we gonna see an ice finally go down on R&D? Or there's
We
the
are.
ice on R&D. And another card in there. So Santa has to be thinking right now about, do I want to try and maybe contest what's in that server instead? And the thing is, if it's an agenda, that's great. If it's not an agenda, if it's a Charlotte, or if it's worse, if it's just like a spin doctor or something, then you really feel bad about spending all your Audrey counters to go in there.
Yeah, absolutely you do. And also notable, even though any ice can be destroyed right now by Santa, well, he will need to credit up first. But even though any ice can be destroyed, that threat is going to go offline as soon as he does that to, say, get into R&D just to take a peek. So he may save those resources for later, trying to contest remotes for later or trying to contest HQ if he smells agendas in there.
Click 1, putting down the Nuka. Click 2, taking 3 cards by using the Nuka. I think he's thinking right now, do I get into that server? How do I get into the server? And if I do, how do I have the money to do something with it? Because you need that money. What is he running that can get you up? He's running Strike Fund. He's running... Potentially, one thing you can do here is with Strike Fund, you make a run, you see an ice, you immediately trash Strike Fund to increase the strength of the Audrey and get money that you can then use for things.
Yeah. That is part of the engine. You can do those tricks that Mulch classically did with the Audrey and use any window to really trash cards. We are seeing a contest on the remote.
All right, here we go. So there's a Brawn. Now this, it feels like you really want to blow up. You don't want to break this. It's really, really rough to break. You almost certainly want to do it. However, this does mean you have to have the 2 credits to do it. So we're probably going to see a Strike Fund to get trashed here, is my prediction.
This would be all the counters
On the Audrey, and that's rough, especially given that there's another piece of ice coming. So then you have to do it for the next one.
Yep. Yeah, so you're going to need the money regardless if you want to get in. And notably, La Costa will not be able to be trashed at the end of this if the Audrey counters are used.
Now you could just let it fire and presume that there's no ice in HQ that can be installed. It's a dangerous presumption, but you could presume that given that only now has an ice gone on R&D, you could just say you're not going to get the ability off of the Brawn. We'll see.
Second fire. Yeah.
Curious what he's going to do here.
Yeah, so we're seeing a little bit of thinking going in the tank here.
Oh, is he letting it fire?
And
Hold on. Let's see what's going. Did he let it fire? Getting a single credit. Why did he credit? Okay, so trashing. Okay, so trashing 2 cards. No, I think he just took a credit. So he did let it fire. He let it fire, bounced off, presumed there wasn't any ice in hand, and then just took a credit.
Okay.
Oh, that's a bold move. Just saying, you just res this. I don't think that's an agenda. I think I'm safe. Or saying, I don't care if you score the agenda. Also, potentially looking at that Nisei and knowing you're going to pop me out if I get in.
Oh, it is
Oh,
a
it's a
second
second
Nisei.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's devastating for Santa right there.
So rough.
Because this means that remote is secure for the next score, which will most certainly be the first 5-3 that Ruben Peters finds.
It does give you an opportunity. You are going to have probably 2 turns to get in, but it's very dangerous. All right, seeing a price. It's a leech. Finally, another virus, potentially a buffer drive, and a Keiko. Now, one thing you have to be considering here is that you probably want to install something to get the twinning counter off of the paladin. You have to be considering, do I want that? Because the leech obviously gives you the virus counters, but the other things give you stuff that you can actually use to start seeing more cards in R&D and HQ.
Now, I do believe the top table here that is on stream has a judge sitting close by, because we saw Santa speaking to somebody just off camera, and I believe that was a confirmation on how the timing of the buffer drive works, because that is supposed to allow you to bottom cards that would otherwise be trashed, and I think Santa was asking, if I install this, does that count all of the price cards?
Yeah, I don't know, actually. I don't know that interaction. Well, I'm presuming we'll find out based on the judge call. And then, okay, all of them going to trash. So presumably it doesn't, or but let's see. Getting the buffer drive down. Curious why you get the buffer drive down there. Maybe just to, well, you get it discounted, so you don't get the Paladin Paway move there.
Oh, because they're not trash from grip or stack. They are, I think, or they're...
Well, they are trashed from stack, so I guess it
they're
doesn't
already
trigger.
trashed.
Yeah, they're already
though.
trashed.
Yep. You're installing the buffer drive from the bin. Yeah. That would be why.
Let's see.
Yep.
Using the buffer drive, what is he going to get back? Okay, so using the buffer drive to
I think instead doing the Kiko.
Okay, so taking the Kiko instead. All right, then moshing.
Yeah.
All right.
So that is one of
I'm
the things that
curious
you will
why-
see even at the World Championship of Netrunner is you'll see takebacks as long as the game hasn't progressed.
That's the thing. So long as the game hasn't hit a point where, so long as no one's like made an illegal move and there isn't any hid information revealed. Like if you run R&D and you see cards, you obviously can't then go back because you know what those cards are. But if you say install something and then you go, can I take that back? That's generally all right. All right. Putting down a daily cast, getting that second twinning counter.
We're seeing a card go on the board off screen. Not seeing
not
what
entirely sure
exactly
what
that
that
is.
Need to see it. All right. Getting the subliminal back because no run was made this turn. Now,
I think we
I
see
think
an
that was a
agenda come in
bacterial
hand.
programming. Oh, that's so worrying. Because if that's I think that was a bacterial programming, and if that's a bacterial, all you have to do is score it. You score that, you win instantly, and Santa has to make 3 runs on that server to stop it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, you can definitely trash the first one. So the first run, wait, is it not possible to get in? No, you do technically have an opportunity because you can, with the second crew, that definitely helps. But you can get in you can go the first time, get the thing trashed. Go the first time, get the trash the first ice, and then you're going to have to make 2 more runs. On both runs, you're going to get Nisei deck. Right?
So we're seeing a Hansai crediting up there. Ruben may be making the calculation that I do need to secure this remote, and...
Are we going to see a third piece of ice? A third piece of ice here would... Oh, no, that's the end of the turn. Okay, so 2 pieces of ice. So, in theory, Santa might be able to get into the server, but it's going to be really hard to do.
Yep.
We'll see if he decides to contest it. Another thing he could do, is he running pinhole threading? He is running 1 pinhole threading. Did we already see it? We already saw it on the Hollow Man, so he can't use that to get in. He can't use the pinhole threading to trash the Lacosta. So he has to get in here. Let's see. All right. He's going to trash the first. He's going to trash the Brawn with the crew. Let's see what this ice is. What this ice is going to decide possibly the end of this match.
Did we see if that was an
what
agenda
is
jam?
that? That's a tree
That's
line.
a tree line. Yeah.
So that's 4 strength. So Audrey breaks this. What does it take for Audrey to break this? With 3 counters, Audrey can break this, but what strength does it take? So plus 3 strength. Tree line is 4 strength. You have to trash 2 cards. And you can't reduce the strength because crew can only get it down to 2 strength. So it's going to take 6 cards to get through that. I think you can do it with Nuka, but it's going to take your entire turn just to get through this if you keep triggering the things.
It's a bacterial.
Oh, he's just going to give it. He's just going to give it to him because now he can arrange the top 7. That's a smart move there.
Yep. You turn off any liability of any agenda flood on R&D. Turn the twinning completely off, and then go to secure the remote and go for the win.
And now you can figure out what you're going to draw. You can set it up exactly how you need, and on your next turn, you can install more ice, you can get things set up, and you can make sure that you win this game. In
my estimation, that does telegraph that there is another agenda in HQ.
Well, yeah, because you can't... Does bacterial... Can we see bacterial programming again? Bacterial programming does let you add cards to HQ.
It does.
So you could get an agenda
well.
from there into your hand. It lets you basically customize what's in your hand. This could also be really good just if you have a bunch of things in HQ and you want to just put some agendas like way down in R&D. If you think you're going to win this turn, you can take some agendas out of hand.
So maybe the calculation there was if I jam bacterial and you don't run, I just win.
Yeah, and if you do run, I give you the bacterial and I set up for next turn to make you unable to get in with these Niseis.
Absolutely.
Let's see. All right, so 2 clicks left. Drawing up here. Now, Santa would really like to see some more agendas, but has to assume right now that going in on R&D or HQ might just be a waste of time because the top card of R&D has been carefully selected. You know that that's not something you have to think. Santa would love to see another Devil Charm to get that second thing, or even just a Leech potentially. But anything to make that other crew online and let you trash that tree line or whatever comes down next.
Absolutely.
How many Devil Charms? He's running 2 or 3? 2 Devil Charms. So seeing that second Devil Charm would be incredible. Also seeing a second crew could potentially help a lot because just being able to use both of them.
Yeah, I believe it is the full complement of crews.
It's 3 crews, but only 2 Devil Charms. So getting that strength down is so important.
Yeah, another way that strength could come down is if leeches come down, the counters could be...
There's the leech. There's the leech.
Yep. So those counters may be farmed off of...
making a run on, I believe, HQ. So let's see what we get here. Obviously, we can get into most servers with the Audrey, with 2 things, and you know that, Ruben, he's going to have to put some more ice on that remote server if he wants to score out of it.
So I like this run here because even if you're not sensing a telegraphed agenda, this run is worth it because you're going to get Ruben down on credits.
Exactly, yeah.
So even if you don't touch that agenda, even if there isn't one in there...
bouncing him to
but
the
it's a
remote
bounce
server.
to the tree line.
That's a smart play because it keeps him from getting the leech. I assume he's just going to let that fire. Although, if he did go in, no, because I think he's presuming that the Nisei would take him out there. Let's see. Now, right now, with 2 Niseis, Ruben can technically make one server take 4 runs to get into. Because you can Nisei, you can bounce once with an extra ice using the Aginfusion ability. You can Nisei, you can Nisei.
Yep.
But you can't make a server impenetrable. Yet. See what we get here. I'm curious what he has in hand after that bacterial, because he has customized basically everything.
Absolutely.
And he has to push for, using a tree line to make that 7 strength. That's so powerful now. At this point, you can still get it with a Devil Charm, but nothing else is going to get it. And it's going to take so much from the Audrey to get through that.
Yep. I would not be surprised that we're seeing a nice
one.
And probably a jam.
If you don't have a Devil Charm right now, I think you lose the game. And even then with a Devil Charm, it's going to be so close because you can only get you can Devil Charm and then you can use the crew to get it down. But if you don't have the Devil Charm, you have to presume that's a bacterial. You have to presume it's going to be scored next turn. And you have to presume that there's no other way for you to get through.
Now, if Ruben's deck was unkind, however...
Oh, Potulous! That gives him 1 counter So he can now get through it one more time.
Mm-hmm.
That might be enough. I don't know how many cards he has in hand.
On here.
Let's see. Okay, so going through the tree line for the first time here.
There. And you gotta think.
But wait, no, because he can't get through it 3 times. Because the first time he gets Nisei, the second time he gets Nisei, and the third time he gets bounced with Aginfusion, and he took a click to install the Botulus. He can't get through.
No.
I guess he's counting on that not being an agenda, and that this not being where Ruben wants to spend all the Nisei counters. Because if it's not an agenda, then you don't spend all of that because it would end the game.
Yeah, you don't spend the counters, and you likely let the Lacosta get trashed.
Okay, are we gonna see the counter? This could be, if it's an agenda, and I'm in Ruben's spot right now. I take my time with this choice just to make it look like it might be a bluff. Just to make it look like I'm making a decision. Because if it's an agenda, you technically have the win so long as nothing strange happens. But if it's an agenda, you don't want to see a bunch of cards from your HQ. You don't want to see a bunch of cards for thing. And there are those 4 twinning counters. So you want to make that. Oh, yeah. Let's see.
It looks like.
Does he have a way? He doesn't have a. Yeah, that's true. He doesn't have a way to score a 5-3 just with the Lacosta. That's true. I didn't realize that.
Oh, if there was a Hollow Man installed.
Yeah, there's no Hollow
yep,
Man, so he
yep.
can't just win here. But he could score out another Nisei. He could do a lot.
Yeah, if his deck was unkind, or maybe kind, it could be an off-world or the 3rd Nisei.
All right, seeing a Sicenton from hand. Can't do anything about that. So he ran HQ here. He's going to use the twinning counters to see everything. Oh!
Another
There's a bacterial. Oh. Okay, so Ruben was absolutely flooded. That's my assumption here. Seeing all these agendas.
Gotta be.
Wow, that's gotta hurt. Let's see. This could be the game right here. Although, do you get to customize what's in your hand after the bacterial? That does change what's in your hand for the next access, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
you do get to. You can say, I'm going to take all the agendas out of my hand. Or put more cards into your hand or something. You can't? Okay, you can't take things out of your hand. Let's see. He could also flood his hand with a bunch of cards that aren't agendas just to try and make sure this doesn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which it looks like that might be what's happening. Or he might be about to put it back on top of R&D. Let's see. I'm so curious what's going to happen here. All right, putting them all back on R&D. So that's indicating that there probably is an agenda in these 3. See? All right, there's a Lacosta. You don't want to trash this. You don't have the counters to do so, even though it would be nice. Oh, and then running that server again. At this point, I assume you're running it because you think if you get in, you just win the game, if that's an agenda, if
Absolutely.
that's a 4-2 of some sort. Let's see.
That absolutely seems like the calculus.
Ruben considering very carefully here. Santa does have the power to get in here, and Ruben does have 2 ways to keep him out with both the Aginfusion trigger and the Nisei counter. Okay, so we are seeing Santa go in. So he is going to spend 2 cards and 1 leech counter to get through with the Audrey, and then. Oh, we're gonna. It's a Rashida. Oh,
Was a bluff.
it was a bluff. So I think Ruben was really hoping that Santa would just spend a bunch of time trying to get into that server and potentially waste all of his tempo here. Going on HQ instead and seeing another bacterial really has to hurt, I presume. Let's see. Right. So Ruben still has 2 possible keepouts here. Still has the single, still at the Aginfusion bounce, still has the single Nisei counter. That means it's 3 actions to get into that server. We also still have the Botulus on the tree line, which makes the tree line much worse because you're going to get through it once for free.
Yep.
So we can get through it for 3 times with the Botulus and the Audrey here. Gain credit advancing.
Install credit advance.
Install credit advance. Oh wow.
Now, this could be another bluff. This could be a Charlotte.
It could be a Charlotte. Charlotte would be pretty good here because it would make you want to spend even more time trying to get in there. And then you could just trash the Charlotte for 3 credits.
Yeah, it also could be, it could be an agenda. This could be the battle of wits. I clearly cannot choose the wine in front of you.
I'm so curious where this is going to go. Santa's in a good spot here. He's in a really good spot with all these tools. He has so many ways to get in. He has so many options. And Ruben's really on the back foot with only 2 points and really struggling. However, Santa has to be perfect. He can't make a mistake, because if he does make a mistake, he could just lose instantly if that's a send a message.
Yeah, once he runs out of tools, he is out of gas and will not be able to stop a game-winning score.
Yep.
So he's got to be very conservative with those tools and where he tries to poke. But he has a lot of opportunities to win. This is his game to lose at this point after that second bacterial score.
This is the turn where you sit and you think and you plan and you figure out exactly how much every single thing on the board costs.
Absolutely.
How much it's going to cost you to do anything. This is also the turn where you sit and look at every card that your opponent might be playing.
Absolutely.
And consider, okay, what options are there that could kill me here? It's not an Anoetic Void. The Anoetic Void isn't in that server. What ice is there? Could this be a Vampire Nessa? Is it going to be something I'm going to have to go through in a difficult way? All right, let's see what happens. So first ice. It looks like no res, so we're then seeing the Botulus. Oh, and it is a Charlotte. All right, so there we go. So was a bluff, only wasted 1 click, but did do that. Now, Santa can trash the Lacosta here, which would cost 3 credits, but does get you another Audrey counter and stuff. No trash.
No trash. Yeah.
Interesting.
Just leaving it.
Presumably really wants that money, really wants to make sure that he has enough money to do whatever else he wants to do. Let's see. So that was click 1. He still has 3 clicks to do anything he wants. He has 2 twinning counters. He can see 3 cards from HQ or R&D. He has Audrey and tons of cards in hand. He can get into basically any server.
So we're seeing a run on R&D.
Now, also, Ruben knows exactly which cards are on top of R&D. So he knows exactly what Santa's going to see here. All right, there's a Tatu Bola. So that's could be trash potentially. There's, I assume, a hedge fund. Oh, there's the game.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So Ruben leaving the game on the top.
Oh, that seemed like such a rough game for Ruben. It seemed like he was trying. I really think he was flooded there, and he really played to his outs and kept bluffing.
Yep.
I have to commend Santa there on really seeing all of the options and constantly going, how can I make sure I don't lose this? How can I make sure I press every advantage I have?
Yeah, absolutely. We were seeing some precise play, running when he needed to. The only thing that really was a bluff that Santa may have fallen for was the couple of jams in the remote that were some fake agendas.
But even though
so
there he was so careful to make sure that he didn't overextend, and then he was still able to hit HQ, get another bacterial, hit that. He always made sure he had enough time to do that. In my scenario, those I so easily usually fall for like, oh, there's something in there, I have to go for it, I have to push for it, and that's what the top level players do. They can look at a situation like that and go, wait, hold on, what's the best way to approach the situation? What maximizes all my odds?
Yeah. So I would liken it to poker, where there's this concept of limping in on the pot. So you don't have a strong hand, you don't have a lot of tools, but you might as well if nobody's making it expensive. And some of those runs on the remote were like that. You know, if this is a bluff, you're not going to spend both of your counters on this. So I'm going to go ahead and just see if I can limp in there and see if there is something in that remote. If it's the agenda, I win. If it's not, then I'll go somewhere else.
All right, let's see what if you're down. Let's take a look at the standings now that we've done this.
Absolutely.
So after this last game, we have seen. So first off, from we had the first game, table 1, Seb K. And let me double check. So Seb K versus Jai, and both of them were in losers. So Jai won that game. So Jai continues through losers, is not eliminated yet. Seb K is unfortunately eliminated. Passive Molt versus the King, also a group from the losers bracket. The King wins, continues to go through with Hoshiko against NBN.
Nice.
Tuno has won against TAC, so Tuno continues going through from starting at the 16th seed, going through at the top. D versus Zinschling. D also winning again, going through at the top. D, I believe, won the first game last round.
Yes.
Yeah, D won first game, so that's another top table. And then Arzen versus Night Ride. Arzen was a... let me double check this. Checking for Night Ride.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another winners game. So Arzen continues through winners.
Yeah.
So it looks like 3 of our 4 winners are going to be Tuno, Deer, and Arzen. We might get, I'd have to look at the exact bracket, but we might get a QTM match of the 2 QTM players in the top table against each other, which would be wild to see.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting. The only match report I think we're waiting on, and we can recap this later, would be Timmy Wong versus CTZ.
Let's see. Timmy
Timmy
has
won. We just got the
against
report
CTZ
in.
from the top table. Yeah, and that is from losers. So Timmy Wong is still in the competition.
Yeah,
both of them are still in that. Yeah. Let's see. The only 2 matches remaining. We just saw Ruben Peters Santa beat Ruben Peters. So that looks like Santa, Arzen, D, and Tuno are the winners brackets. We'll have to look at exactly what the bracket is. I believe I have it pulled up over here, so I can double check that real quick. So it looks like the next game will be, so we had, if D beats Zinschling, okay, then the bracket I have is needs to be edited. But we're going to see one of them in the top 4, and then we'll also see if from between Sokka and Rotom Appliance, we don't have that game in yet, but hopefully we'll get it soon. We'll be back really soon though for the results of the next match. Going to round 3. Excited to see what happens. I'm so excited to see where this tournament ends up. We've had some great games already.
Yeah, absolutely, and some unexpected players rising to the top. So that is going to be a really interesting thing to see, and it's going to be interesting to see the conclusion of 2024 Worlds.
Yeah, great to see.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.